Welcome, everyone. Hello, once again. This is a new week. Happy Open Innovation Thursdays for everyone. Today is a special edition of these Open Innovation Thursdays that we've been doing every week. 15 minutes of a conversation related to open innovation and, of course, the Oxford Handbook of Open Innovation that has been giving us so much joy and learnings in the past 16 weeks. Today is a special day because we have a special guest. We are not reviewing a specific chapter, but we are reviewing an interesting insight of the book. So allow me to welcome you, Marcel Bogers. Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. Thank you.
Today is a very special day for me, not only because I admire your work and, of course, all your influence in the open innovation world. By the way, I almost every week I cite one of your papers together with Henry Chesbrough, the one in 2013 where you reviewed the definition of open innovation, but also because we work so much together in the World Open Innovation Conference. And well, it's so interesting to work with you. But besides that, we always do this first thing. So can I ask you, Marcel, to introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah. Well, thanks for your kind words also, and for those citations. Now, yeah, so my name is Marcel Bogers. I'm a professor of open and collaborative innovation at Eindhoven University of Technology. I'm also affiliated to the University of Copenhagen and University of California, Berkeley, where I work with Henry Chesbrough, of course, and many of the other colleagues over there. And as you mentioned it, maybe I say I'm also the conference chair of the World Open Innovation Conference, where we are working together. So this is where I'm very happy about our collaboration, definitely as well, which has helped me a lot. And I also really like the fact, that we complement each other with our backgrounds, with the theory and the practice, and put it all together and try to create a good context and community within the open innovation domain. So that has been very exciting and will remain to be like that for the coming time, of course.
That's it. And of course, as you mentioned, we also like to work in bringing together academia and practice, which is one of the main lines of action in the World Open Innovation Conference, and also behind the efforts in this book. By the way, today I forgot to introduce myself. For those who don't know me, my name is Marcel Menendez, and I'm an open innovation practitioner, enthusiast, and fangirl.
I think people know you by now, when they follow the.
Oh, you never know. Maybe we have new fans.
Okay, good, fair enough.
So, Marcel, today is a special edition of these sessions because we don't have a specific chapter to review. The last one we reviewed was chapter 15. This is our 17th session, so it's amazing. Yeah. And but you contributed to the book. In fact, one of the chapters that you contributed was already one of the past ones. But so I always like to ask people, what was the road that led you to contribute to the book?
Yeah, okay, yeah. So, of course, it was Joel West who presented already the chapter that we wrote together, which is early in the book. But as he's also one of the editors, I also thought it's nice for him to to feature early in the series. So I think that made sense, and it was a very nice session. And I think he explained a little bit how we ended up writing that chapter. So in that sense, it's an interesting story, and I will not repeat the background that he mentioned, because then you should look, listen to the earlier conversation and the chapter 5. I think I kind of lost count of all the chapters, but I think it's 5, which is basically about the different open innovation modes. So where we say, and this is something we have been interested in from the beginning. Actually, a small anecdote may be nice. If you look into the chapter and go to the acknowledgements, you can actually see. It's kind of our little joke. We actually acknowledge a conference, and you can look at the year when the conference was. It shows how long we have been working on that paper, but it's a little insight thing to check out. Anyway, so we've been working on that idea of the fact that there are different modes of doing open innovation, especially if you consider the let's say the locus or the place of innovation creation and innovation commercialization. And this was the initial insight also, I think, with Henry in the original book, that those two places you don't need to be the same, right? So if you do open innovation, you can have maybe internally generated invention, let's say, that you don't necessarily need to commercialize in-house, but you can bring it outside or licensing or in other ways. So the inside out open innovation, and the outside in is the other way around, right? Maybe some idea or invention can be generated outside, but then you bring it inside, so outside in. But if you then follow that logic, of course, there's also inside in, which is more in the sort of the closed innovation, let's say, and the outside out, which is sort of outside of the organizational boundaries. But all of these things have implications for how your innovation process takes place. And we find it important to think about this also across different levels. So it's about the organization, but then you can have, of course, within one organization, different projects, right? That are either open, closed, outside in, inside out, or inside in, and so on. And we think it's sort of that combination of factors that is useful to consider. And we draw some conclusions and implications from that.
And this is as you said, a chapter by also with Joel West, who is an editor, and these first chapters set the base of the structure of the book. Exactly. And you can cross-reference after that with many of these chapters, like the project-based innovation that we reviewed with Mehdi.
Exactly.
And the different roles and the art and craft of innovation. And so we are getting like into detail of each of these aspects, but it's very interesting how to set the structure here, which is part of the spirit of the book. No, the book, I think, is so far I always get these questions like, which books should I buy about open innovation? And we never had like the good answer, but this book has like this overview about different aspects of open innovation, and as Henry says, not meant to be read as a novel but as a Bible, no? So what's your perspective or your experience or your insight about the effort of putting together this knowledge together in one book?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So I think there are several aspects to that. So I think it's both so let's say looking back at a little bit the foundation of the field and sort of the building blocks on the one hand, and on the other hand also really looking ahead, sort of what are some of the future topics, where is the field going, what are important issues to look at. Then maybe also wait to mention the other chapter just briefly that I have with Dieudonné Cobben, which is more on open innovation metrics. I think it's chapter 54 or something, no? 54 chapter.
Around the 50s.
Yeah,
in
the
one
50s,
year.
so,
in 1 year we will read it.
Exactly. So it will be a while before we hear about that. You can still check out the chapter if you're interested, of course. But the point is that that's just one specific topic, right? It's kind of how do we measure, what are the metrics for open innovation? Because we have conceptualized in different ways, but I think some, often measuring it either in academic papers or I think in industrial practices policies is not always that straightforward. So that's a bit the background of that story, but it is a teaser for the later chat, let's say. But that does give a little bit the range, I think, of the topics that the book is covering. And from my point of view, that's what's nice about it, right? As the Bible or whatever you want to frame it as, that it has all those elements, and it has something about the connection to theory, which is for, I think, the academics. Really, okay, if you really want to peel the onion of the open innovation concept, what's really behind it. But also there's some chapters on more the practice related, including what you have been writing about. So based on your experience and some other very nice people there as well. So I think that well, in open innovation, sometimes we talk about breadth and depth, based also on one of the parts of the literature. And I think the book has both, right? So it has the breadth in terms of, okay, there are the whole range of topics, and the depth of, if you're really interested into some particular topic, then you can really, you read the chapter, you can really grasp also and grab, that particular notion that's in that specific chapter,
Very interesting. Maybe two final questions. I don't know if I'm I try to get this simple insight on what's in it for practitioners and what's in it for academics, no, in terms of looking into what's next and what can we learn from this. Knowing that we are continuously working in trying to see that the value of each world, but also the value of the connection. No?
Yeah, I think, I mean, of course, like any field, it's always in development, right? So I think what the book, I think, tries to do, as far as I can see it, is to also give a bit of, I mean, as I said, sort of some of the foundational factors of the field, some sort of, you know, key frameworks and perspectives. But it's also kind of a snapshot of, okay, what do we know? What should we be thinking about? What should we be working on? And I mean, I think that the academic colleagues can kind of, you know, pick and choose those things that you know, relate to their interest. I think, you know, given that there are these 50-ish chapters there, right? There are many connections to other fields, right? So I think, and that's often what we do also in academia. We try to understand the topic, you know, kind of dig deep inside, but also related to other perspectives. And I think, you know, that's something that you can see with such a book.
Recently, we had this conversation about trust and the whole discipline related to ethics and trust, and it's like opening, you know, a new realm about that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great example. And I think there will probably be more of those coming, you know, after this first chapters, which are more like foundational. And then, there's so many connections, and that's what's interesting about it, right? So, and I think both for open innovation literature, so to, let's say, outside in, right, bring other perspectives in, but also inside out, that maybe other fields can learn from this and relate it, so that we have a more kind of overarching understanding of the topic, how it relates to other aspects of innovation, of organization, of, you know, and trust, and all these things that you mentioned as well. Kind of also cutting across different sort of, say, levels of analysis. And I personally find that also interesting, right? Because it's about, there's something on grand challenges, there's something more individual level, and everything in between. And this I find personally fascinating.
Individual level, company level.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's, of course, a bit of an academic perspective, all right? And your other question was more for practitioners. So obviously I'm not a practitioner, so it's kind of my interpretation of how that would work.
You know, maybe
and I will ask the question maybe back to you, what you get out of it. But I mean, in a way, it's also to get. Well, I mean, there are, of course, some chapters on sort of the practical perspective, right? Which may be interesting just to read about other experiences and so on. I can imagine some of the other chapters are a little bit academic, sort of heavy on theory. But I mean, it's for my. I mean, I would expect, but I will ask you the question. So, but let me know if you agree. I would say that you're making the connections to these other concepts, so realizing or thinking about, okay, well, yeah, there is something about it, how this relates to our larger strategy, or this is really, you know, okay, trust, yeah, that's important, or our culture, you know, or it's about how we organize. And so maybe the awareness or the openness, let's say, towards, you know, different notions that relate to your own experience, right? That you can maybe try to understand a little bit better. Maybe there are some novel insights, things you didn't really think about. Maybe there are some aspects you disagree with, right, based on your own experience, but at least it's something to relate to your own practices. So that would be my take on that.
Totally agree. I
don't know if you agree.
maybe we have or at least how I experience it is having this collection of aha moments where I say, okay, this is what I'm living or what I'm experiencing.
Okay.
Has this theory behind it, and then I can build a little bit over that to continue elaborating. So. Yeah, I think this is the perspective. And I would say that maybe the idea, and this is part of the way that we collaborate, no, as open innovation communities, to keep this conversation going. So the book is like a foundation
Exactly,
for a continuous conversation that we promote in the World Open Innovation Conference. By the way, we're looking for challenges. People, practitioners, if you have challenges,
right.
present your best practice.
We need you.
We need you. Because we want to connect theory and practice. No, so share your best practice in the World Open Innovation Conference.com. There's a competition, so you might be able to come and present your best practice. Absolutely. But we are also looking for companies who want to present their challenges. Besides, of course, the best paper awards that we have with academic papers. So we worked on that, creating connections between industry and academia. It's good. Well,
yeah,
Marcel.
the connection is not very stable, but I think I got what you said. So indeed, the short version, check out the World Open Innovation Con. But the point being that I think it's also a place where we try to connect theory and practice, with the papers, with the practices. Indeed, we're always looking for organizations to sponsor challenge sessions, which more sort of deep dive into a particular challenge and unpack that from both theoretical perspectives and practical experiences. And I think this is what's nice about the community, about the field, also with that book, that it has all those different perspectives. So, sometimes we from our research we try to have an impact on practice, right, based on what we know from our research. But I think in many cases the practice is actually ahead of what we do in our research, right? But I think that sort of going back and forth, I think this is where the interesting things are created, the insights and the experience can be influenced.
Well, Marcel, this is it. We already reached out
Great.
our 15 minutes. Any final advice,
Nice.
call to action or comments?
Well, check out the World Open Innovation Conference, I would say. But with respect to the book, I think it can also be a little bit overwhelming, right? I mean, for both academics and practitioners. But yeah, I mean, from that point of view, maybe, take a step back, see, okay, what is interesting, what is relevant for your context. And that could be a starting point to get into the topic. And then, we'll see you around at some of the conferences or in other ways to connect will be really nice.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time today, for being able.
Thank you.
I you know that I wanted to have you as a guest, so we managed today.
Yeah, we managed.
I'm celebrating.
Nice.
Thank you very much, Marcel, and see you soon.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.